Hello, and welcome to Amputee for Life, created to focus on members of the limb loss community and those who support them. We will feature testimonials from amputees, family members, and professionals working within the limb loss community, and include strategies, ideas, and heartfelt stories in the hope of providing greater awareness around the lives of some of the most amazing and resilient people on earth. My name is Jared Taylor, and I will be your host. My guest today on Amputee for Life is Jason Dickens, hailing from the great state of Texas. Jason is the creator of ReDefined Prosthetics. And I want to go ahead and read straight from his website on his about page of who he is and who they are as a company, because I really like how well it's written, and it sounds a lot better than the way I put it. So I'm just going to say here, ReDefined Prosthetics is a new nonprofit that is dedicated to transforming lives by ensuring that old prosthetics find renewed purpose as functional tools. The mission of the organization is to provide funding for children who are in need of a prosthetic and give back to the amputee community. We take old prosthetics and partner with businesses who can use parts of a prosthetic to create a series of unique tools. The funds raised from the sales of these unique tools, along with other fundraising efforts, are used to provide grants to help families afford prosthetic care for their child. ReDefined Prosthetics will partner with other organizations in the medical field to assist in funding prosthetic needs for children not covered by insurance. We believe that every kid deserves the chance to be a kid without financial barriers standing in the way. One of the ways the ReDefined Prosthetics gives back to the amputee community is by hosting free events that give amputees the opportunity to push themselves physically and mentally. And the way I learned about you, Jason, is you created a post on the community board at the Amputee Coalition about the 14,000-foot peak challenge you have coming up, and I can't wait to dive into that as well. But first and foremost, I went to your website, and I was just absolutely blown away by this. I've never seen anything like this before, and I have to just ask you, what inspired you to create ReDefined Prosthetics?
It's other than being kind of random. I was talking to a guy earlier today. I don't really have a crazy story. Like, I'm not an amputee myself. I don't have any family members who are amputees, or even really in any kind of the limb loss community or the disabled community. But uh, it- I worked for some nonprofits, and through that, I uh, met a lot of guys who have been blown up and combat related injuries. And so naturally, kind of started making friends who had all sorts of injuries to them, some TBI, PTSD, and then more visible injuries like amputations. And so uh, naturally just started hanging out with them. And I had worked with a nonprofit and had done some programs with amputees, and just kind of I started to learn, for me as being able-bodied, that uh, I only knew these guys as being amputees. I never knew them as being um, not an amputee, but like they still had the same goals and aspirations as me. Like nothing really changed because they had lost a limb. And so I had just started internalizing, like taking in a lot of notes of like, man, like they're, for lack of a better word, sometimes they're treated as second class citizens because they're busy, like you're visibly missing something of you, but like you still have the same goals and aspirations. And I I didn't know any different how to treat them, just the way they are, like they're regular human beings. And so picking up and different stuff like that, and hanging out some of their houses, I noticed that uh, some of these guys had prosthetics just like stacked up in their house. And I was like, man, like these things cost a lot of money. Like some of my buddies who are above knees, I mean, like they're telling me, yeah, like the VA covers these legs and they're $100,000 off the shelf. And I'm like, why do you have something that's tens of thousands of dollars that's just stacked up? And uh, they're like, oh, there's really nothing to do with them. Like we just kind of leave them hanging around, and we can't reuse them. Insurance stuff. And so over a period of years, like I just kind of had noticed all these things, and I got out of working for a nonprofit, and I wanted to get back into the space, and I like um, being creative. I care a lot about people, and a lot of my buddies were amputees, and so I was like, man, like what can I do to help my buddies? What can I do to help people in this space that's different? And like the biggest thing I wanted to figure out is what's a way to actually uh, run a nonprofit and like with a for-profit mindset of like how can we actually bring in income so that outside of fundraising we can actually have more of an impact towards the mission, because we're actually creating a product that is one useful but also it's kind of one of a kind. And that's where the idea came of like, well, um, prosthetics, they're just laying around. Like, you have metal and plastic and carbon, like you can implement that into non-medical devices, add a story to it, and we can sell these things. And if you sell a story and sell a cool product, there's literally there's I'm sure there's a limit on a price, but like an egg could sell for just what a regular, like we're doing knives right now. A regular knife can sell for $200, but something that literally has a piece of somebody in them with a story, like that item could be considered priceless. And that was kind of the inspiration of like, well, there's there's a huge emotional attachment to these legs. These were literally parts of someone that allowed them to do stuff that other people said they couldn't do, doctors couldn't do. Like whenever you lose a leg, technically you literally can't walk anymore. You just jump around, or you have to have a device that helps you. And that device, you have a lot of good memories and a lot of bad memories with it, but there's a huge emotional attachment because it allowed you to be able to do what you used to do all the time, whatever, before your accident or whatever happened. And so I wanted to figure out a way to bring back that emotional attachment and like show them that it's uh, I'm blanking on word, but like just bring back the emotional side of it, show them that hey, someone cares, and show them that hey, there is value in this, and the value we're giving it back to you, but we're also bringing actual monetary value out of it so that we can help out specifically kids and then just the amputee community in general. So almost um, the short describe, we're taking stuff that's considered junk, and we're actually able to pull value out of it to just put right back into the community where insurance is failing the community as a whole. So
Wow, that's amazing. This is absolutely amazing. I'm really blown away at just the whole thought process that brought you to this. And I
mhm.
want to thank you because it's being an amputee, whether we are perceived by others or not, but mostly we see ourselves as second class citizens. We are not who we used to be. We can't do exactly how we were what we were able to do before. And that is a huge barrier that is part of the process of overcoming and persevering. And so to be able to, it's funny because you mentioned, memories around some of these devices. Like, yeah, some of my earlier prostheses are pretty scarred up from me throwing them across the room and wall holes in walls and things like that because of the frustration of becoming an amputee and then not fitting right and the pain and the things that happened in the early years of being an
Mhm.
amputee. I still feel that way sometimes, but I try not to throw my prosthetic against the wall anymore. But truly, it's amazing that you're able to take because they are one of a kind. One size only fits one person, and then it only fits us for a short amount of time. And then we got to move on to the next one and the next one and the next one. So, yeah, they do stack up, they do pile up. And I've thought to myself, well, I'm going to hold on to all these. I've got all my old sockets, and I don't even know why. And now I know why, because there's something that can be done with them. And so, with that being said, what would you recommend, like, for me to just
Mhm.
send you in my old gear and say, here you
Yeah.
go, do with it what you can? Is that how it works?
I'd uh right now if I did that, I think I would run out of space in my house. I'd have everybody spending in the goal definitely is eventually to have different a a lot of businesses that we work with that can implement, like right now, specifically we're working with a few different knife makers, and like we've been, I thought of in the talks with doing like some fly rods and maybe guns and stuff. I mean, if if there's a tool, in theory, if there's a tool that can implement a metal, a carbon, or a plastic, you can find a way to reuse some of these parts. But right now specifically, we're doing kind of hand-picked projects to where we really just don't have the bandwidth yet to just take in a bunch of stuff. I definitely wish we could, but I mean, hey, if you want to send me a leg, I'll figure out something to do with it. But the and a short way to explain it right now, we have a few different projects going with guys who were either injured in combat or while they were serving received an injury, and there was as a result of that had to have the amputation. But the idea behind there is the project specifically working with is we want to give a piece of the prosthetic or the tool that has the prosthetic back to the amputee, is like, hey, this is a piece of you. This is thus the word redefined prosthetics. We're redefining the purpose of this tool so that now you can use it in a new light with the same memories and create new memories with it. And then we also have a second piece that, hey, there's along your journey and your rehabilitation, there's somebody who changed your life for the better, who told you to push your boundaries. And so we do a second knife to where they can gift that to somebody. It's kind of a give it forward campaign. And then as able, we it could be one knife, it could be a dozen knives or more. We create a line of knives with our knife makers to then we do production of the story and kind of the background, and then use those knives as and then sell them. And 100% of the proceeds that we receive into the organization goes out. I don't take a salary. I never will take a salary. It's I hope one day we can get big enough where I do have to, for logistics sake, have to pay people to handle stuff because there's like so much stuff coming in. But I imagine we'd have to get to be pretty large before I would consider doing that. But the the idea of the idea really was just bugging me for a while, and I literally couldn't sleep until I was like, there's a need, there's a huge hole in the industry, and like there's people out there who can benefit from this, and like no one else is doing it. Like for all I knew, prosthetics were supposed to be used for lamps or something. Like that was the only way I ever saw them.
Right.
Saw them reused, and
That's the first thing that came to my
but
mind too, is a lamp
yeah,
because that's easy, right?
yeah. But it's there really is the sky's the limit on what you can do. You just have to we have to work with businesses who are open to the idea and also just can find a way to get creative. But like one idea we talked with is like uh, the plastic parts of your socket, that like your um, like it's hard to, since there's a lot of curves in there, you really can't cut them whole and have a piece that like is real fine. But like uh, the idea we've had there to fix that is like, well, if we just take all the plastic and we grind it all up and then put it into a resin,
Mm,
and you can form that in any shape you want. And because from a technical standpoint, there just has to be one little particle of the prosthetic to then technically have a tool that has a good piece of a prosthetic in there. But the parts that we can't take whole or don't look as good, and the tool that we're making, it's like there's a lot of ways we can almost use every single part of it, and just grind it down and mix it into stuff. And so the creative side of it is also very fun because it's um, as far as we know, we're no one else has really ever done anything with these things in a non-medical uh, uh, use type of deal. And from a legality standpoint, that's the only way you can reuse these things.
right.
And that's like um, whenever I was doing the research of like, is there something you can do with old prosthetics? And I know there are some organizations that use them overseas and use the bits and parts, and but obviously you can't you can't take off your leg and give it to somebody else. Like it just don't work that way. Um, um, but even if you were to donate to a legit nonprofit, the IRS doesn't recognize them as a tax deductible item. So even then, there's no monetary value to these things. And whenever I learned of there literally is no way to pull any value out of something that costs so much, I'm like, man, like there's got to be a way to do that. And even if we pull out like a tenth of the value of it, like we can take that amount and then put it back towards right back into the community. I just hated the idea that stuff was going to waste and hated that. Once I learned more about how the insurance works and how a lot of guys are getting left behind on care and from the physical and the mental side, I was like, I care too much about people and like to think creative, and that's in a roundabout way. I was just like, someone's got to do it, so it might as well just be me. So
Well, I'm glad you think that way. And I do want to talk about that, but I did want to ask you because you mentioned fishing rods. Now, my oldest son who lives in Montana,
mhm.
he's an avid fly fisherman. And do you have somebody lined up who can actually utilize some components to create a fly rod?
Not yet. We have a company in mind, but we haven't brought the idea forward. But we and talking with my guy who has up our production stuff. Um, it's a buddy of a buddy that at least with the fly fishing, the fly rod stuff. So if there is someone who definitely wants to do it, I mean, we'll take them too. But that's kind of what we're hoping to implement at least in the fly rod or fishing reels. But there's but haven't worked that angle specifically yet. But it's what we have in the pipeline.
Haven't worked that angler yet, huh?
Yeah.
No, hey, that's something I might want to push you on because that would be a cool gift for my son. He
Hmm.
was 15 when I uh, became an amputee, and it was hard on him as well with my other children, other than my youngest because this is all he's known. But well, even it's still hard on
Hmm.
him, but not like it was with the older kids. So I would like to give something back to River, so that he could just have a piece of me every time he goes out fishing out on the Madison or whatever, like he's going to be doing this next weekend. But so, what other organizations do you directly work with to help facilitate maybe the delivery of prosthetics? Because I wanted to ask you a little bit more about that with the children.
Yeah.
How do they receive the prosthetic?
So I'll quickly explain how we even got to um, the, doing the how we decided to do directly stuff to children. So in figuring out the idea of reusing the prosthetics is all great and all, but like I wanted to make sure that wherever our funds were going was to some a certain demographic of the community that was underserved. And I had never even met a someone under 18 who had an amputation, and so I didn't know much about the youth stuff. But in doing research and stuff, I learned that the activity limbs are covered by insurance because they're deemed not they're not a medical need, they're not necessary. And I thought that was just one of the dumbest things I had ever heard of, because
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
like, if I had a kid who had uh, had a traumatic injury or just was born with missing something, I'm like, you're telling me that it's not necessary that my kid run around and be given the same freedoms as just any other kid? Like, why is there a gauge of what the mental and physical health of the child is, whether it's medically necessary? And so I I thought that was really dumb, and so I am not in the medical field. I'm not a prosthetist, so I'm like, well, that's where the need is. So like, how how are we going to find someone to help it? And I literally looked all over the U.S. and I found a group out of Tennessee called Amputee Blade Runners. So they are a prosthetic or orthotics company that had a 501c3 element to it that literally works in their shop, that they provide free activity limbs to kids. And I wanted to work with like more local shops or find somewhere local, but the best use of the dollar, like if I couldn't just raise tens of thousands of dollars to go to one leg, because I mean, um, if I wanted to find a way to get more out of it, but that's where the tricky part was. There's not a lot of people offering that service, and amputee blade runners, they work directly in house with their prosthetists and all those guys, and they're able to provide a service to the child for free. And so we uh, part of where our money goes is helping fund those legs through them, because the $3,000 and they can get a kid in a leg, and they cover extra legs, any changes in it until the kid turns 18, 19. And so I that for me kind of was the best use of the dollar, in a way that I don't have any expertise in the field. So I needed to find somebody who had the expertise and also the vision, the wanted to help out in a way to where uh, they're not taking their cut out of it. They're just like, hey, we're providing a service. And but that's who we decided to uh, partner with, or at least uh, push some of our funds towards. And then still still looking for um, some other organizations to do stuff with, but I haven't found any that I believe are a good fit. But definitely open to others, or even if there's actual medical guys who want to provide a service. And but as of right now, we on the kids stuff, we are putting our money towards helping the guys over amputee blade runners, and um, um, they're also some of the guys who are attending the event we're doing there in July as well. So, um, but yeah, with that in a nutshell, that's the other organization that we found that is also fighting the uphill battle of making sure that kids don't get left behind.
Awesome. So, to any of our guests that are listening that are prosthetists or in the medical field or want to help in any way with what Jason's referring to here, hit him up. We'll have some links for you to contact him on this episode, because this is absolutely incredible. And just yeah, the fact that, and it is heartbreaking when you hear about a child being told, you don't need a leg, you don't need your arm,
Yeah.
you don't need either of your legs. Uh, it's hard enough when I hear these stories from adults, because they're getting told the same thing. Hey,
Hmm.
it's not medically necessary for you to have a prosthesis. Like, what are you talking about? Uh, it's all backward. I appreciate what you've
Yeah.
said and how this works out. There's got to be a brighter light shown on this, because we are everywhere. Us limb loss folks, we are everywhere. And it's funny because
Hmm.
my whole life, every once in a while you see an amputee, and
Yeah.
okay, but when you become one, then you're kind of a magnet to others. And I appreciate that, because even in the area where I live in Bellingham, where there's about 100,000 people here almost, there's a lot of
Yeah.
us out there. But a lot of times I'm seeing folks that are on their crutches or in a wheelchair, and I chat with them and I say, hey, what's going on? Get to know them a little bit and hear their story. And they've been denied, what they need to be able to function. And it's just depressing. So children, is if we can eliminate that for kiddos, the more the better, because life is hard enough, and especially when you're different as a kid. Um, so kudos to you for that. I wanted to talk a little bit more about these projects you have on your site, the projects 001, 002, 003. What are those?
Hmm. So basically, Project 001 is the first one we started out, and then hopefully get to 100 plus. But Project, I can go through them quickly if you like. Project 001 working with I'm trying to think of the correct term, but he double amputee, AK and BK, missing both legs. He was a Green Beret, Caleb Brewer, and he's out of Arizona. So we're doing a project with him, and then through a knife company called Half Face Blades out of San Diego, California. And so taking that one specifically, we're taking a leg that Caleb ran. I remember right, it was he ran a 10K, 5 or 10K, 10 months after both amputations.
Whoa.
And so we're taking that blade and doing a project with Half Face Blades to make a knife for him, make a second knife for him to give away, and then a few to sell. And so that's Project 001. Project 2 is we'll actually be doing it with two different knife makers. We had made one knife out of the prosthetic for Randy Nance, another Green Beret. He was blown up and burned. He will refer to himself as a half-ass because he lost half of it as he got blown up and the other half burned. So, but he is below knee from the injuries he suffered from there that cut off the leg. And we actually, with one of the knife makers in North Texas, Nick Schwartz, we made a World War II inspired kind of Green Beret knife and implemented a little bit of prosthetic into the knife, and then made a holder out of the blade as well, the blade from the prosthetic, and working on another round of knives to make from the remaining parts of this prosthetic. And so that one's still, I guess, in production. Then Project 03, we're actually filming next week. And so we're working with um, Donovan Hollis. He's oh, he, I want to say Army. I'm blanking on, yeah, I think Army, but he, a training accident, and had to, because of the accident injury, became above knee. And he actually runs his own barbecue business in North Dallas, Hollis Barbecue. And we are working with a knife maker in South Fort Worth, where we are making him a custom brisket knife. So from his old prosthetic, so literally an old prosthetic that he used every day, and we're putting into a tool that he uses every day to then literally bring home food for his family and make a living. And also making a series of knives, be more kind of long, if anyone's familiar with knives, like a hunter skinner type, that from the remaining parts of this prosthetic to then sell. And but we're filming and producing, or filming and the production of that is next week. And Caleb with Half Face Blades will be up there in June, and then Randy's haven't knocked a date down to finish out his project. But those are the three we're currently working on, and with a few more ideas rolling, but nothing that we've put down on paper yet. But those are the three different ones that we have actively going. Some of it's been completed, and other ones are about to be completed.
Wow, just hearing about these projects is just making my heart just swell up with like pride for you. I'm really proud of you. I'm really appreciative, and I really respect what you're doing. And I'm sure that these guys that you're helping out, um, I can't imagine how they must feel. It must make them feel really special, which they are, and half-ass. They just cracked
Mhm.
me up because I don't know. I mean, laughter is definitely the best medicine, and I've heard some of the funniest jokes come from amputees, about their own situations. Yeah,
Oh, there's some good
and that's
ones.
just kinda, what you have to do, or else, you're just gonna sit and rot and rot your mind. So, definitely chin up, pulling yourself up by the bootstraps or however many you got, and what you can do to keep moving forward. And it's people like you that support the limb loss community that really make a huge difference. And I know that people are going to hear this episode it's going to turn light bulbs on in their minds, and um, people are going to want to be a bigger, make this a bigger thing and be a part of something bigger. And that's really why I started this podcast, is because I wanted to be part of something bigger, and I wanted to contribute and give back to our community, because it's hard to find the support or the camaraderie that we long for and we need as humans, and as broken humans, which we all really are, but some of us are more visibly broken than others. And it just is amazing what you're telling me. And the pictures that I see on your website, like I'm looking on your about page and I'm seeing someone carrying someone else on their back, and another cat, I can't tell if that's you or not, that got the other guy by the hand. So there's three people working together to get this guy up on the trail. And with that being said,
Mhm.
can you elaborate a bit more on the 4,000 foot uh, peak challenge you have? Because that's actually what you posted on the Amputee Coalition. You're reaching out to amputees or even EMTs that might want to be get involved in this, and I think it's in the end of July. Is that correct?
Mhm. Correct. Yeah. July 28th through August 1st are the dates for the event. Yeah. The elevator pitch on the event is we're climbing a 14,000 foot
Mhm.
peak. The planned peak is a peak called Uncompahgre. The spelling is wonky, but it's I think 14,300 and change. And then we have a backup peak in case of bad roads. The roads to get there sometimes are washed out. The backup peak is Handy's Peak. Another, it's 14,001 feet. So you have to stand on top of a rock for it to be a 14er. But yeah, it's uh, we I had done an event with another organization I used to work with, and we had a few amputees come and do a hike, and it was as meaningful as it was for them to accomplish that. It was very eye-opening and perspective changing for me and other guys who were hiking on our two legs, like watching these guys like get up this dang mountain and watching it be such a struggle. And it, as much of it was a struggle, like they freaking loved it. Like it was like um, uh, all they could talk about, and like they were dying and loving every second of it. And I was like, man, like um, I I want to with starting my own nonprofit. I was like, man, I want to have give give these guys opportunity to push themselves physically and mentally. Like you can only there's inherent dangers to the mountains, but there's if you provide solid guys with mountaineering experiences, have EMTs there to watch over in case there's any medical concerns. Like literally, all hiking is putting one front in front of the other, and as my belief and a
Mhm.
lot of other guys who have done these 14ers as amputees believe that like literally anyone can climb this mountain. It's just the thing that's in between your ears that's blocking you from it. And so um, the idea for the event is I've if um, well, even the idea for the whole organization is if I had something or had a traumatic injury or anything happen to me, like I sure would want to know that somebody's in my corner. Like I would want to be treated in a way that shows that I am valued and that yeah, I still can do the things that I can, um, uh, but there are precautions that need to be taken because it's not a group of just able-bodied people hike up the mountain. Like there has to be just precautions in place to make sure that it is safe as can be. And so that's the event itself. We're looking to have 6, maybe 7 amputees on the hike, with EMT or guide kind of assigned to each amputee hiker. The the worst case scenario is someone gets altitude sickness. Of course, other medical things can happen, uh, but you get altitude sickness. The best way to fix it is you just start losing elevation. So that's what having like your battle buddy with you who has some medical experience. They can go back down with you and but we're also not leaving other guys empty-handed. But the event itself is July 28th through August 1st. We do we'll do kind of an acclimation hike on some flat ground at higher elevation. Just you're really not getting acclimated, but at least you get the day before. You kind of get used to bringing it to high elevation, and the hike itself is around 7 miles round trip, so 3.5 up, 3.5 down, and something where you get woken up by me at 1 or 2 in the morning and hate my guts, and whenever we're off the mountain at 1 or 2 in the afternoon and it starts raining at 2:30, you'll be really glad that we got the early start. But the event itself is just to show people that um, the only thing that's stopping you from doing this stuff is you. Like, we are going to provide the food, the lodging, the transportation during the event, the staff that's needed for you to hike. Like, there's nothing that's keeping you from doing this other than just you. Like, if you're missing an arm, if you're missing both legs, if you're missing 2 arms and a leg, like, and even as one of the pictures said, like, there's been cases where we just carried guys. And that picture was from a few years ago where a guy didn't even bring his prosthetic, and he was just like, "Y'all just get me up there one way or another," which definitely sucked. We joked with him and told him it'd been better if he just lost both legs because he'd been easier to carry. But as he was singing and all happy as we were carrying him up. But yeah, the event is hosted at our family lodge. So we happen to have a lodge in the middle of the mountains, and you can sleep a lot of people there. And we're an hour away from it's either 4 or 5 14,000 foot peaks there in the Rocky Mountains, and so it's literally the perfect place to host an event that gives people someone the opportunity to push themselves physically and mentally. And it's something that I'm very passionate about. I spend a lot of and still do a lot of things in the mountains, from guiding elk hunts, mule deer hunts, and overlanding and rock crawling and stuff. And the the peace and the struggle of being in nature in the mountains, and also the hardships you face of climbing stuff is it resets the soul. It just really brings you peace. And I believe that everyone should be allotted the opportunity to uh, uh, be able to go do that. And so that's the this event is that's the whole reason for it. And I'm hoping next year I have to do 2 weeks of it because we have so many guys who are wanting to get out there and push themselves physically and mentally. And now I wish I could take, I mean, dozens and dozens of people up there, but that's why it's limited to 6 or maybe 7, but six guys who are amputees, because I can't have too big of a crowd up there. But it's something I'm just I I have the ability and have the opportunity to give a few people the chance to just do something like this. And honestly, if I didn't do it, I would go stir crazy. And because I have had the thought in my mind, and it's a good thought, and it's showing people that, like, this is how you love your neighbor. Like, this is how you show people that it's better than just saying, hey, like, I definitely am a man of faith, but there's a difference between saying, hey, I'm praying for you, and then actually being like, hey, like, I'm going to do something for you that I'll be praying for you at the same time, but like, I'm actually going to do something that's going to help, help you for the better. Like, we're actually planting a seed, we're actually taking action, and we're not just saying that we're going to do stuff to giving you a pat on the back and saying tough luck, you'll get them next go round. Like, I want to do stuff that actually means stuff and helps people. And that's but the event itself, I really am looking forward to it. It's once you get up to the top and hike down, you'll actually like it. But one of the guys who hiked with me before, he
I
said,
believe that.
"Man, you really tricked us by starting in the dark because if I'd have seen how high it was, I never would have hiked up there." So there's uh, little tricks, and of course that we start before daylight for safety reasons because all the storms move in the afternoon. But there
Wow.
are little
I
tricks you learn
appreciate what you'd
as
said
a
about
guide
there is a
to trick
difference,
people into
about,
doing more than they think
hey,
they
I'm
are.
praying
So,
for you. Of course, the
but
prayers go vertically, but it's the linear care. It's what, okay, well, what does God really want me to
mhm,
do besides pray for this person? I'm going to go out and I'm going to do something for them, actually. So that attitude is great. We need more of that. Um, I see that there's an age requirement of just 13 years old,
mhm,
right? Plus, so if there's any mountaineering family out there that has a son or daughter that wants to participate in this,
mhm.
and maybe their parent is, you know, good in the mountains and has some skills or whatever, they could tag along. Is there something like that, or how would that work with someone who's younger like that, like a minor?
Yeah, yeah, any minor, it's required that at least one parent hikes with them. So, and I'm not very sympathetic to guys who are missing legs and hiking. I'll push them pretty hard, but also realize that it there is some elements of it that really sucks if you're hiking and having to, I mean, messing up your stocking and all that. But if I'm not very sympathetic to people with both legs who do not hike well because there's a lot of people, and that for even for me, it was a perspective change of like literally watching guys struggle hiking with one leg. I was like, who am I to be a two like someone with both functioning legs and like not go out there and be active? Like, there's tons of guys who wish they could get out of the wheelchair or wish they could grow another leg just to have the opportunity that I still have. And all that to say that
That's Yeah, that's great.
parent is required to go with the kid, and the parent, you better get your butt up the mountain because we'll be forcing you to go. So, but especially during the event, anyone between the ages of 13 and 18, they're accompanied by a parent or legal guardian the entire time. So, and then if any adults who go, I think I crunched numbers where we can have like you hike with somebody else. But for the most part, it's usually you get to have one guy tag along, and you can bring your family with. And but we can only have a set number of people on the mountain just because we'll end up the total number of people hiking will be somewhere around like 20 and 24. But everyone who attends, families are welcome too. So some of the guys who are coming to hike or even volunteer, they're bringing their families up. A lot of fishing and swimming and stuff to do there, and so we really wanted to one be a blessing to the guys who are on the hike, the guys who are coming to help out and cook, and also be a blessing like them to be able to bring their families up and have a kind of a mini vacation where they can experience either the hardships of the hike or the opportunity to give back and volunteer at an event like in a family setting. So families are definitely welcome. We can fit a fair amount of people at the lodge. And, but I mean, be open to having someone under the age of 13 hiking too, but you definitely have to kind of gauge 13 and 14. You're a little stronger, a little more mature, and something to where you can handle the hike better. So that's kind of where we made the mark of the minimum age of 13. But definitely want to have kids involved. We have uh, one girl from Dallas who signed up who lost her leg in a lawnmower accident and or lost her foot. So they pretty much just kind of popped her foot off and heck, she plays competitive volleyball like with able-bodied at a high level, and because she's 15, 16, and like she's gonna crush all of us on the hike because like she's a stud of an athlete and like she'll leave everybody in the dust. So I mean, there's we're really fired up to, especially going into future events of having kids come out, because they definitely, they bring a different perspective than adults do on just life in general. But like, I maybe anyone sees it on, they're like, oh, that's so high, and like the kids like, man, like let's go hike that thing. Like the energy they bring. Um, but it's yeah, really look forward to having a couple kids on the hike, and then just having kids there who get to have the experience with with their family of everything that's going on, and kind of opening their eyes to some of the struggles of the community, and
Yes,
just the
amen to
feeling of
that.
like, hey,
And
like
you have
this
an
is
intake
how
form on your website on
volunteering your time to give
Redefined
back and help
Prosthetics
somebody for a
website,
good cause, like it's a good thing to
redefinedprosthetics.com.
do that. So
And that is right, right? Redefined.org,
yeah,
excuse me. Yes, redefinedprosthetics.org. Okay. And
redefinedprosthetics.org.
yeah, so I
Yeah,
hope you get to
I
do
think if you
this
press it
again
.com,
next year,
you still find it, but
in a couple,
.org. So
more than 1 week, because I'd be on this so quick, but I'm tied up the dates that you have this, because having formerly lived in Colorado and hiked several 14,000 footers, I would love to go. I'd love to
mhm,
go back and try it as an amputee. I mean, I love hiking now, and I know what it takes out of me, and I know what it would take for me to do that. But I'd be all about it, and bring my kid with me, and see what that could look like for us. So how many
mhm.
slots do you have left open at this point, Jason?
I'll say two slots. We have a couple applications in right now, and a couple maybes, but there's still two
So people
slots
would just have
open.
to
So
look into their
that's
airfare if they're
as
traveling
of
from outside of
right now, at the
Colorado
end of,
or
or
further
I guess
away,
mid to
and
end of
then
April,
take
we
care of
got
their own
two
airfare
slots
and their
still
own
open.
lodging, other than during the hike dates. And yeah,
Mhm. Correct. Yeah. Once you arrive at the event, everything is covered. Transportation during the event, the full driving needed, all food, all lodging there at the event. If you want to go eat out, that's on your dime. I make the joke of like, we are, I guess, running a charity, but if you want to go eat out, that's on your end. So but yeah, you have to get yourself there. But once you get there, everything is covered. And the nearest, uh, just logistically, the closest airport is Montrose, Colorado. It's 2 hours away, and the closest big airport is
hmm
Colorado Springs, about 4.5 hours away. So that's kind of, if you're trying to figure out where in the world it's taking place, it's this little town called Lake City. So there's only a couple hundred people there year round, and it's one of the last little mountain towns that is just literally the best place to be, in my humble opinion. So sometimes phone coverage doesn't work there, so you can get away from it. So
beautiful, beautiful. Well, Jason, this is awesome. I mean, this is such great information. Just talking with you and getting a feel for what you're doing and what opportunities there are for other people. It's almost like the sky's the limit, and I see this really
mhm,
growing for you in so many ways. And I know you've got a lot of other things you need to do to put food on your family's table, but the fact
mhm.
that you do this is absolutely amazing and well appreciated by those, I'm sure, that have already participated and those that are going to. So I just really want to thank you, and just give a shout out to you, and again for supporting the limb loss community and just being awesome. This is just great. I really appreciate meeting with you. And did you have anything else that you wanted to share before we close out?
um, no, I don't think so. I would just say that we're the uh, I mean, the whole purpose of the organization is, um, I I wanted to get back, and I had, um, stuff gnawing at me, and then seeing the gaps, and I wanted to figure out a way to um, have the nonprofit, but I also wanted to figure out a way to not have to rely on the fundraising element to bring money towards the cause. 'Cause unfortunately, with prosthetics in the amputee world, it does cost a lot of money to provide the care, and was really fortunate, I guess, to have the idea of a way to almost to try to be self-sufficient and doing these projects to where we can create a one of a kind product and repeat that process over and over to then use the funds from that along with the funds that we get in from fundraising to go towards helping just the amputee community overall. And I really just um, appreciate the opportunity of just uh, being able to help people. So like I said, I have no dog in the fight. I just had some ideas and had some buddies who were going through some stuff, and then doing my own research, learned that there's a lot of gaps in the system and what um, like members like you, the limb loss community, have to go through, and that somebody who's not a member of the community, like I'll never be able to like feel or understand the pain that you guys go through, but like I can have a way of looking at it through the lens that you guys have, and do my best to understand the pain and then figure out a way to maybe just fix it for a little bit. And if I can do stuff that takes away from some of the mental and physical anguish, either by providing a cool tool or connecting somebody with whoever, or doing an event where you push yourself physically, if that makes someone a little better version of themselves than they were yesterday, I mean, that's a win in my book. So um, yeah, at the end of the day, uh, really I really care about people, and there's a lot of hurting people in this world, and I'm just trying to do my part to help as many people as I can uh, with some of the crazy ideas I have, and some of the people and other organizations I'm able to do stuff with. So
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're going to help a lot of people out with your crazy ideas, and it's much appreciated. So again, Jason Dickens of ReDefined Prosthetics in Texas, and I will share the link to your website um, at the end of this episode here. And man, more power to you. I'd like to hear more about how this 14,000 foot peak challenge goes. So I'm going to check back in with you in the future if that's all right.
sounds good to me. Hopefully, I tell people we've yet to ever lose somebody, so that's the goal, always to get everybody back. I mean, I'll be all in one piece, but we'll get everybody back. So one way or another.
No one's been chased off the mountain by some doll sheep yet, huh?
Not yet, but luckily, I always tell people that you just want to hike with somebody who's a lot slower than you in case that happens.
Yeah, right. I love it. Well, thanks again for your time, and it's been a pleasure chatting with you. God bless you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, and thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us today on Amputee for Life. Please stay tuned for our next episode. Until then, stay well, be safe, and please remember to enjoy the little things.